was a hot summer night, and Grace couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in her bed, feeling restless and irritable. She glanced at the clock on her nightstand to him. She had been trying to sleep for hours, but it seemed like every time she closed her eyes, her mind started racing. Finally, she gave up and got out of bed. She tiptoed through her apartment, trying not to wake her roommates. She made her way to the living room and sat down on the couch. She reached for her phone, thinking about texting one of her friends. But then she hesitated. It was the middle of the night. Who would be awake to talk to her? That's when she saw his name on her contacts list. Tom. They had gone on a few dates a few weeks ago, but things had fizzled out. They had both been busy with work, and it seemed like they just didn't have time for each other. But now, in the middle of the night, Grace found herself thinking about him. She felt a sudden urge to talk to him, to see how he was doing. She typed out a message, "Hey, are you awake?" To her surprise, he replied almost immediately. "Yeah, I'm up." "What's going on?" Grace hesitated for a moment, wondering if she should tell him that she couldn't sleep. But then she decided to take a chance. "I can't sleep," she typed. "I don't know why. I just feel restless." There was a pause, and Grace wondered if she had made a mistake. But then Tom replied. "Me too," he said. "I was just lying in bed, staring at the ceiling." Grace felt a flicker of excitement. She had always felt like she had a connection with Tom, even when things hadn't worked out between them. Maybe this was a sign. They started texting back and forth, talking about their work and their lives. But as the night wore on, the conversation grew more personal. Tom told Grace about his hopes and dreams, about the things that kept him up at night. And Grace found herself opening up to him in a way she never had before. She told him about her fears and insecurities, about the things that made her feel vulnerable. It was as if they were two strangers, sharing their deepest thoughts and emotions in the middle of the night. Finally, as the sky began to lighten outside, Tom suggested that they talk on the phone. Grace hesitated for a moment. She had never talked to him on the phone before, but then she agreed. As soon as she heard his voice, she felt a jolt of electricity. It was deeper and richer than she had imagined, and it sent shivers down her spine. They talked for hours, their voices growing hoarse as they whispered back and forth. They talked about everything: their families, their hobbies, their favorite foods. And as the sun began to rise, Tom said something that made Grace's heart skip a beat. "I know this might sound crazy," he said, "but I feel like we have a real connection. I don't want to let this go." Grace felt a surge of emotion. She had never felt this way about anyone before. "I know what you mean," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. And with that, they made plans to see each other again. They hung up the phone, both feeling a little breathless and disoriented. But as Grace climbed back into bed, she knew that she had finally found what she had been looking for. Tom was more than just a passing crush. He was someone she could see herself over the next few weeks. Tom and Grace saw each other almost every day. They went on walks in the park, cooked meals together, and talked long into the night. It was like they had found something they had been missing their whole lives, a deep, unconditional love that they never knew existed. One night, as they lay in bed together, Tom turned to Grace and said, "I love you." Grace's heart skipped a beat. She had been waiting to hear those words for what felt like forever. "I love you too," she said, with tears in her eyes. From that moment on, their relationship blossomed into something truly beautiful. They supported each other through every up and down, every joy and every sorrow. They talked about their future together, dreaming about the life they could build. And when Tom proposed to Grace under the stars one night, she didn't hesitate to say yes. Their wedding was a celebration of their love, a day filled with laughter, tears, and joy. They exchanged vows in front of their closest friends and family, promising to love and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. And as they danced together under the moonlight, Grace knew that she had found her soulmate. Tom was more than just the man she loved. He was her best friend, her partner, and her home. They fell asleep that night, wrapped in each other's arms, with smiles on their faces and love in their hearts. And as they drifted off to sleep, Grace knew that no matter what life threw their way, they would face it together, side by side.